Hey gang. Oh, thank you for stopping by here today. I had put up a video called Less Painting, More Looking. And then I walked through the park and I did all this stuff and I went on a little emotional, sentimental journey about my mom and how we used to, when I would take her walking, she would stop and look at these little bitty flowers. I'm talking this big, like a dime size. And being a executive, so to speak, and working and having family and teenagers and everything at home, I would be like, in my mind, come on, Mom, let's go. And it was terrible. I regret that so much because I was just so impatient. I was always impatient and ready to rock and roll all the time. But so I was walking through the park and I saw those violets and I started feeling so sentimental. And I thought, oh, my poor mom, I used to take her to the beach and I was very patient about getting her through all that sand down so she could put her feet in the water, because on the Atlantic side, you've got it's a big beach, but it's thick sand. I think on the Pacific side of Florida, it's kind of a hard sand. It may be a longer beach, but the sand is different. It's just different. So, but I would take her down and let her put her feet in the water because she just loved that. And we'd sit there, in our chairs and stuff, if I happened to be able to take chairs and her down there. But anyway, this is a sketchbook update. I think that's all I have to say today. Is I did want to say what. Oh, I took that video down because I had street signs in it and the name of the park and stuff, and I just started feeling a little bit like I shouldn't do that. I need to, for safety reasons, I need to not do that. So I took it down, and I'm not going to try to redo it, go down there and walk through the same thing again. I'm just going to tell you about it. Now, the main thing I wanted to say about it is that I have come to the conclusion that really great artists that start out of the womb just being able to see, there's some reason why they just see things as they are. And so, of course, then they can transfer it right to the paper or to the canvas. A lot of us have been raised in environments where I think we were hurried along and pushed along, and there was stress and nervousness, and I know that's true in my case. It wasn't much out of the ordinary for probably most families, back then or these days, where you're rushing to get to dance school and sports and Cub Scouts and Girl Scouts and blah, 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 all that. And then you try to eat, and then you got to pick your daddy up at the airport because my dad traveled, and there was a lot. Now, in my family, with my children, we not only had weeks like that with all the sports, the dance, the gymnastics, the selling donuts at 6 a.m. We would have to go deliver donuts, which was honestly kind of unbelievable. But we did it. I'm glad we did all that. And then, of course, the games. They were cheerleaders. They were playing basketball. One of them was playing basketball. We had all that going on all the time. And so I would say that my kids did not have a totally restful world that they lived in. And I think that keeps you from seeing, because you're now running to this opposite destination, and so you don't really have time to look. But, just being quiet and still, and maybe sitting in the park with your grandparents, or having a life on the farm where you could just kind of take a walk down by the river and look at the flowers and say, yeah, look at that. I can actually see that tree, that flower. Whereas I never particularly noticed too much of anything other than just, I knew I loved color. I knew I loved fashion. I knew I loved beauty. Absolute. I loved beauty. But I never really, as far as art, I have to take a flower and lay it across my paper and look at how it's growing and see what it's doing. It's usually an amazing sight that I never got. But anyway, my mom used to stop me, try to show me. And I was like, hurried her along, and I felt that bad about it that day. I felt regretful. And we have days like that, don't we? Anyway, so it's about, now that we're older, we can slow down. We can take a look at things. I don't run all the time anymore. I might spend a whole day doing my laundry and hanging it on the clothesline just for fun. You know, I just love it. And I have a garden that I have, you know, I put out here. I'll show it to you sometime. And I like to go to the park and look at what I can see. I've never really looked at a rock. I need to paint some rocks. Okay, so less painting and more looking. It's just a phase we can do. You know, we can just do that for a while. So, but keep painting. Okay, so here's my, I wanted to show you this, my sketchbook for now, what I've done. Okay, this is a Mexican bus. Now, it's very authentic because I know I used to go to Mexico because my brothers were in the university there in Mexico City, and I would go down and visit them, and they stayed with a family, so I stayed with the family too. And these buses are all over Mexico. Now, this one is not as ornate as the one that I saw. This one is at a car museum up here in the North Georgia mountains. It was a great little thing to sketch and a great thing to paint, and I really enjoyed it a lot. And so there you have it. So I dated it and stuff. Let's see what's next here. Then I decided, well, I'll just try a little Volkswagen on a road. So I did that. You know, I've not really done cars, so I thought it was kind of cute. I can see now I would even this back. I would change this right here and fix it right. But that part's good. But see, that's how you learn, right? Here are some roses that I did like the way they worked out. It's hard to do a rose, but they came out pretty good. And then the little rosebuds on the bottom. I hope these are showing up. So that's a few days there. Oh, these are poppies with a bird. Look, he's pointing downward like he's getting ready to fly away. You see, I never even really finished this part, but I like the way those came out. There's a lot of negative space here I could have worked on. Okay, let me see. And these are the wisteria. You know, the wisteria that I did to prep myself before I did the larger painting, which is hanging in my living room. I love it. So that's that. And then, okay, this is not, I'm not happy with this at all, but it was done anyway. That's what I did. So now I'm going to do the violets. I'll try some more violets. This purple paint was almost black. It just, nothing was working out for that. So I don't care for that, but it is the violets. But the interesting thing is when I came home from doing these violets, this information came up on my YouTube feed, and I wanted to share it with you because it's really cool. These little wild violets that you find all over the place are totally edible, leaves and the blossoms, and they're only out for a short time in the spring. And so I gathered a bunch up. Now I haven't made my tea yet, but I did bring it home. So all you do is you just rinse them off if you even feel like you need to. I mean, it's going to go into boiling water. You pull any roots off, and I planted the roots, so maybe I'll get violets, you know, out there. So they apparently are great for lymphatic drainage. Now, lymphatic drainage, your lymphatic system is what? It gets really puffy under your neck, real puffy under your eyes. You know, there's something you can do about that. You can do lymphatic drainage. You can do lymphatic drainage. You can look it up. There's so much on YouTube about it if you want to learn. I do it to myself, and probably once a week I do a lymphatic drainage technique, which I learned a long time ago. But so this helps to drain your lymph all over your body. Okay, that's what this infusion of just a tea. And these are, this is what has come from this website. You can take a look at it. It's called the Honeystead. They also do bees. So you just boil the water, steep, and drink. And that's leaves and blossoms. I think that's awesome. Now, then you can make a lymphatic massage oil by filling the jar about 3/4 full of the blossoms. And I think it's just the blossoms. So you're going to have to pick a bunch of them. And actually for lymphatic oil, you probably wouldn't need that much. But they did a big old jar, you know, big mason jar. And then you fill it, pour cold pressed, very good organic olive oil over it. Non-GMO. And you just cover it with a little burp lid, you know, like you do on a fermented kimchi or something that you're making. You cover it and use a cheesecloth and cover it with a ring over the cheesecloth, you know, cheesecloth, and let it sit in a cool, dark place for 4 to 6 weeks. And it makes a tremendous, according to them, a lymphatic drainage massage oil. So that would mean you can use it on your lymphatic system. And there's techniques to do it. You need to study it. And I took a course in it. And I think it's really helped me to keep the puffiness out from under my eyes. And of course I have it sometimes, but you know, look, let's put it this way. Your lymphatic system does not really move unless you move. And having it stagnate can be so bad as far as swelling and lymphedema and all of those things. So you can do your own research on it, but I thought this was a very fun thing. You can also do it with dandelions. There's another, she has other recipes. I happen to write down all the violet things in here. So that's kind of cool. Life is so full of so many amazing, interesting things. I can't even keep up with it all. I really can't. Now, I don't have a TV. I haven't had one for 5 years. I got sick of that. Maybe I'm different. I know I'm different. People say, well, you can paint. I said, well, you can't paint all the time. You'd go crazy. I know I do a lot of things, but sitting in front of a TV is the most annoying thing. Now, I do have to admit that I'm pretty well addicted to YouTube videos. But I get to choose what I want to watch, you know. Whereas, I don't know, I feel like there's such an agenda behind all the stuff on TV. And I'm not saying there's not brilliant, wonderful movies here and there, but a lot of it's trash and garbage. And anyway, so that's why I love so many fun things. I have room in my head and in my heart to see the amazing array of interest, the amazing array of opportunity to learn and try new things. But anyway, so I want to show you my last one. You know what a dogwood tree looks like? Well, this is kind of an abstract because I was sitting at work and I was looking out the window and I saw a dogwood across the street in full bloom. And, you know, they grow kind of, their limbs are kind of out like this sideways instead of like straight up like some trees. They're kind of like, and leaning like this kind of. And so I just, I had this at work and I just did this, and it's kind of came out like an abstract, but I really like it. It gives me an idea for a larger, maybe an acrylic palette knife painting. You know, I can just see it, only I wouldn't do it with the bright blue background. But that was the sky. It was a beautiful, bright, sunny blue sky day. And these are the limbs. And then I splattered them. I splattered them with, you know, Doc Martens white. And so I think I like it. It's the perfect thing for the sketchbook, right? Okay, that's it. I've got a couple more weeks of pages in here, and I'll be happy to do them. I'm not keeping up with this every single day, but it's definitely a priority in my week to do, you know, 3 or 4 of these. And some of them I just see something out there and come home and do it, maybe late at night, or, well, not late at night because I never do anything late at night but sleep. But I think that's all I wanted to tell you today. Thank you for coming by. And I'll see you in my next video. I'm not sure exactly when it's going to be. I know what it's going to be, but I don't know when it's going to be. But it's not, you know me, it'll be up pretty soon. Okay, have a wonderful day, a wonderful night, wonderful week, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.